Welcome back to Fire to Fork, and not the bush. Basically, it's just been too dodgy to go anywhere and light fires in the bush, so I'm not. Been bushfires and this and that, so it's just been a bit hard to get out anywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a recipe that is great for a backyard cook-up. Now, I'll go through it later, but everyone keeps sending me cob loaf recipes. And yes, cob loaves are awesome, but there's a better way. There's a better way than a cob loaf. It takes up less room, costs less money, tastes better. And I'm going to show you it. So, forget your cob loaves. We're doing this properly. But first up, I need some coals. So actually, I just used one of these. This is the little Zippo Tinder Shreds. These haven't actually come out in Australia yet. They will be out soon, but they're like a fire lighter. And they burn for like 8 minutes. So they'll be out in a couple of weeks. They're just shreds of pine with a bit of paraffin wax on them, so they're really good. They'll take a spark from like a flint or whatever, but they are my new go-to because they smell nice. Bit of a crisscross on here, and leave that for some time. And don't worry, Fire to Fork Zippos are coming soon. While I wait for that, good opportunity to sit back and relax for a bit with your mates. This is a really easy recipe, don't worry, it's not going to be anything too intensive for you. It's the kind of thing that's enjoyable to do while you hang out in your backyard by the fire. Okay, that fire's calmed down quite nicely. So, what are we going to do? We are going to make basically a puff pastry kind of some cob loaf. So, you're going to get a couple of different types of cheese. Cube up a bit of this cheese. This is just a cheddar. It's just a bit of leftover, whatever I had. A little bit of that, and then I've got here I got a little bit of brie. Just going to cube that up as well. Not all of it, probably half of it, because I'm not going to be able to eat like a large serving of this, so I'm not going to waste it. So get this. Definitely going to make a bit too much for me, but yeah, Sam can't have it. It's not gluten-free. Cool. All right. So there's a bit of cheese. Let's roll out a little bit of puff pastry. I don't know if you know, there are a lot of food shortages on at the moment, so selection of products isn't fantastic. So I have wholemeal puff pastry, which isn't what I'd usually go for, but it'll be fine. So let's get a bit of that. You've got to let that defrost for a bit so it's flexible. Now, get a bit of, cube this up a bit more. Chuck it in the middle of your puff pastry. And actually, I'm going to add some extra bits, but I've left them inside. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of rosemary. Now, if you live in any kind of a southern area of Australia, buying rosemary is actually, I think it's actually illegal. You have to steal it from your neighbours. So that's exactly what I did, or from a park or out the front of a pub or anywhere. It's just prolific. If you live in the northern part of Australia, fair enough, you've got to buy it, it doesn't grow there. I couldn't find any, I walked around Broome for so long trying to find bloody rosemary on the side of the road and couldn't find it. I was shocked and appalled when I had to actually pay money for rosemary. So a bit of garlic, I've got one giant clove here, but you don't want too much and you want it cut small. Spread a bit of garlic in there. Don't want to overpower it, but you definitely want some in there. bit more cheese. Last bit is some honey. This is actually from my patrons, Chris and Jemima, who were in the last episode. Thank you very much for that, guys. So we're going for like a salty, sweet, herby kind of a mix. Not your traditional bacon and cheese cob loaf, but also still that, you know, just giant pot of cheese. All right, fold these over into the middle. And then, if you have it, you don't have, this is not essential. If you have it, chuck some egg wash on there. So, one egg beaten up a little bit. Okay. Now, this is again optional, but I like it. There's a little bit of honey on the outside of the outside there. You can also just use some like granulated sugar or something like that on there. That'll work really well. Drop it in the camp oven. This is obviously on greaseproof paper. That's just to help you get it out at the end. Now, a lot of people are going to say, why don't you use a trivet or something like that to space it up? I tend to find trivets don't do as good of a job as just getting the heat right. So in this case, we want not too much heat. So this is the compact brie. I'm going to just put that up quite high for two reasons. One, we don't want too much heat up here. And number two, actually it's really good for accessing coals. Put this guy up here, lid on. And yeah, that's really hot. Oh, even with these good welding gloves. Whew. I'm gonna get a shovel. So what we want is not too much heat kind of anywhere. So bit of heat on top, bit of heat underneath. There's hardly any coals in the bottom there. I want to keep it like that. We want this to cook quite slowly, melt all that cheese down, but also crisp up the puff pastry. So I might even take this flaming one off, put it to the side. And then check it every 5 minutes and see how it's going. Cheers. All right, that's been on there for about 15 minutes and I just had a quick look and it is looking sexy. So, get this guy off. It smells incredible. Now, it's the good thing about the baking paper, or the greaseproof paper, you can lift it out very easily. I am gonna do some gratuitous B-roll and then eat this thing. Alrighty, so let's get into this. It's really nice. Do with a touch more honey. because it's so salty from all the cheese and the pastry. The honey cuts through it really well. Oh, bugger the crackers. Let's just use the pastry. All right, whatever you usually put in a cob loaf, ditch the loaf, use puff pastry. You don't actually need a freezer to store puff pastry for like a couple of days, so don't. But wow, that is ridiculously good. Oh. Does it go well with beer? Pretty well. The honey doesn't go as well. I think this would go amazingly with a glass of white. Oh, it's got a bit of the garlic. I actually originally saw this recipe on TikTok, didn't think much of it. And it kind of stuck in my head and I was like, all those flavors do really add up. So well done, TikToker person who did it originally. I'll put up credit, but I don't usually do TikTok recipes. But if you have any TikTok, what do you reckon? Should I do like a little video of doing some random TikTok recipes? That'd be kind of fun. That's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, I'm not going to nail all that. That's too much. But I'm going to have a red hot crack at it. I was going to have steak for dinner. I don't think I will. I think I'm just going to have this. All right. See ya. Oh, the garlic goes well with beer.